Hello everybody, my name is Avantish and I hope you all are doing well. So today I'm going to show you how to process your deep sky astrophotographs in a high dynamic range. So let me show you some of my pictures. So this is the raw pictures of the Great Nebula of Orion, and I captured these just yesterday night, and I've captured at least 946 images. So that is a lot of images, each containing an exposure time of around 1.5 seconds. So that is approximately 24 minutes of total integration time, which is really great. But there is one small problem, and that is if you photograph really bright targets and take long exposures on them, you are going to overexpose some of the areas. So you have a lot of bright sections right here, which is the trapezium cluster, and you also have this other area, which is the 𝖬_Arians Nebula, which is another nebula which is close to the Orion Nebula, but it is actually another object on its own. This nebula is somewhat fainter, and in order to collect more data on it, I have to take longer exposures, which gives the problem of the core being overexposed. So the core is very easy to get blown out because of how bright it is, and that is why we need to use HDR processing to balance out the brightness between the core and the surroundings. So let me just show you a preview on ZWO, and I'm going to just perform an automatic stretch to expose the image, and you can see the core is starting to blow out, and we have this weird gradient right here, but we also have a lot of ugly gradients which we can easily get rid of right now through color calibration. So I'm going to perform color calibration on this picture and click on close. Now the image does look better, but there's one other problem, that is it looks darker on one side and greenier and noisy on the other. And in order to process this out, I'm going to use dynamic background extraction, and I'm going to click on generate, get this preview which shows where it's applying the process, and I'm going to click on compute background, and let's try that once again to precisely calibrate the image. And as you can see, that definitely looks much better. Now let's go back to the linear mode, and I'm going to process the image in GIMP. So let me just import this onto GIMP. Okay, so I just loaded this file in GIMP, and you can see the image still looks pretty dark, but let us stretch the image. So I'm going to go to colors and hit on levels and pull the white points like this, and reduce the dark points a little bit. Now let's do this process a couple of times till we see a good amount of detail. Okay, now next step, I'm going to play with the curves. So it is actually a better option to use curves instead of using levels, but I like to use both. So let us pull the white bar right here, and the moment we do that, you can see the core right here, it is getting exposed quite a bit, and if we try to pull any more details, the core will blow out. So in order to prevent that from happening, I'm going to increase the white point a little bit for now, and in the next section what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to tools, and I'm going to make use of selection tools. So there are many different kinds of selection tools in GIMP, just like how you have in Photoshop. So the selection tool I'm looking for is actually called color select. So the option is right here, by color select, or you might also find it right here. So I'm going to click on this, and we're going to adjust the threshold. So threshold refers to how much of this image you want to select, but for now what I'm going to do is just select it, and the default is going to be generally between 40 to 50, which is just fine. I'm just going to increase this to 52, which should be just enough. And what I'm going to do now is click on this core, and the moment you do that, you're going to see a selection around the image, and this is where we want to actually reduce the brightness. So what we're going to do is we're going to only reduce the intensity of the image in this particular section, so that will make sure the core is not blown out. So what I'm going to do next is go to select and click on feather. So feathering refers to how smooth you want the selection to be. Now let me show you with a very simple example. And so I've chosen the feather to be 4, which is a pretty small value, and let me tell you why. So what I'm going to do now is go to colors and play with the curves, and now I'm going to pull down the white points, and the moment I do that, you can see it's not reducing the brightness around the entire image, but only the selection points. And I'm going to click on OK and go to select, and I'm going to select none for now. And one problem we see right here is we have these weird artifacts, and we don't want these, right? We want our image to look natural and smooth. So in order to prevent that, I'm going to first obviously go back to the previous image, and I'm going to use this color selector again, and instead of using a small amount of feathering, we're going to take a very large value. So let's take something like 80, and this is a very good number to begin with if you're not sure how large the value should be. And I'm going to click on OK, and finally let us reduce the intensity on the core. There you go. So as you can see, the core, it doesn't appear overexposed, and let's click on OK and select none. You can see we don't have that artifact like we did previously, which is pretty interesting. Now let me show you what the image looks like before we perform the selection. So it was rather bright to after, so it is in a perfect balance. So now we can play around with the curves to make our image brighter, and I'm going to perform feathering one more time on this area. So there you go. Now the image looks much more dynamic. you don't have that overexposed core. You can see much of the details, and you also have the faint areas, including the fainter stars and most of the surrounding gas, including this nebula, which is the 𝖮 Nebula. It has come out really well. So I think this looks like a pretty good image without the core being so blown out. So I hope you found this tutorial useful. Thanks for watching as always, and I wish you guys a happy new year.